Welcome back to A Moment in History. I'm Seth Udinsky. In our journey through history, let's go back and explore one of the most notorious military leaders of the American Civil War. This man was a devastating force in the Confederate Army, but his military brilliance and brutality could not bring the Confederates to victory. He became even more notorious, though, after the war for his role in one of the most sinister terrorist organizations in world history. Let's go back to the Civil War and uncover the questionable Southern military leader, Nathan Bedford Forrest. Forrest was born in Tennessee in 1821. He became a wildly successful businessman in the pre-war Southern economy, amassing millions of dollars. But he made his money not on a trade of goods or services, but largely on the sale and purchase of human beings. Forrest, like many in the South, was overwhelmingly complicated. He allegedly met his wife as a young man when he saved her from a wagon accident in a river. They married when he was 24 and they had an incredibly faithful and fruitful marriage. But his legacy is not in his personal life, rather in his role as perhaps the most dangerous weapon the Confederacy had at its disposal in the war. Forrest entered the fray with little military experience, but lots of resources. He proved to be a determined and brilliant military man who was wounded multiple times, had several horses shot out from under him, but survived. He led the Confederates to multiple victories in the war where he had fewer men or fewer supplies than the Union, becoming known as the Wizard in the Saddle. He became so dangerous to the Union victory that General William Tecumseh Sherman, who would eventually rise to second in command over the Union Army behind U.S. Grant, once said this: "That devil Forrest must be hunted down and killed if it costs 10,000 lives and bankrupts the federal treasury." Perhaps the most infamous battle involving Nathan Bedford Forrest was the Battle of Fort Pillow in Tennessee in 1864 against a largely black regiment. Forrest, red-blooded Confederate and former slave trader that he was, showed no mercy to the black Union troops at Fort Pillow. The Confederates forced a Union surrender, and the rules of war at this time decreed that when an enemy laid down their arms, you should also lay down your arms and take the enemy captive as prisoners of war or release them if it's appropriate. Well, Forrest ordered his men to execute the African-American regiment, shattering the rules of war and becoming a notorious scoundrel among abolitionists. Even after the Confederate defeat in 1865, Forrest remained a villain. He is credited as the founder of the infamous racist terrorist organization, the Ku Klux Klan, which in its early days was meant to inflict fear and horror on newly freed black Americans. He would be the first Grand Wizard of the organization before he dissolved it in 1869. It would be reborn during World War I. Nathan Bedford Forrest died in 1877 from complications with diabetes. Thanks so much for joining me once again for A Moment in History.